right, the biggest discussion of the day here on KUTV Kenya is happening at this very moment, and it's happening on Biashara Tuesday. So you need to be prepared to hear what the panelists on the show have to say. For whatever activity is happening this day, part of the conversation or most of this conversation will show up either in the streets, whether from the government, whether from whatever else we'll see developing throughout the week. We want to get an informed perspective from the young people who are very active in going against this government and the finance bill of 2024. So we have two youth on the show here this morning. One is Mr. Philip Mwangale, who's been here before to speak on matters of governance. And we were discussing just earlier, 2 shows ago or 3 shows ago, on the finance bill of 2024, just before it went for that second reading and voting stage. And we also have here with us a journalist, activist, a photographer, a content creator at the same time, who you might have seen or might have not, but you will probably see a video of him somewhere being bundled into the back of what is popularly known as Mariamu. Last week at the protest, Wilson Gitonga is here with us on set to let us know what he feels from last week. Kulimwendeaje, mambo ilikuaje, na what kind of solutions do we need to put this country in a direction that is forward-facing and in a way that all of us can give it a thumbs up. I think the one thing that I can agree and that all of us can agree, even if you're for or against the finance bill, is that whoever is out there protesting, we need to agree that for sure they need a better country. That's the baseline. That's the very baseline, that they need a better country. No one is having a good time and deciding to go out there to go against whatever provisions are there in the finance bill. So even if you go with an Uber, even if you go with an iPhone, even if you go and eat KFC, your protests and your concerns are valid. But we're going to test the validity of all that with Wilson Gitonga and also the way forward with Mr. Philip Mwangale. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Thank you for creating time for us here. Let's start with Wilson to introduce himself, because I think you're on my show for the first time.
Yes,
Right. First, I have to say, I'm glad to see that you're alive and that you're not either arrested or going missing, given you've been very active on that hashtag reject the finance bill 2024. So good to see you. Uko sawa, uko salama, uko healthy? Kabisa?
Yeah.
Very nice. Please introduce yourself to our people and then we can continue.
My name is Wilson David Gitonga. On the internet, I'm known as Willy Davido. I'm a content creator. I am a journalist and an activist. You've seen me on, probably seen me on what was happening last week. The very first protest that we had in Kenya concerning the finance bill. You saw what happened to me. You saw how the police treated me, and it felt like I am a child of a lesser god, because that is not the way to handle a peacefully protesting Kenyans. And we will keep on fighting. We are here. We are safe. We are sound. We thank God.
All right.
Viva.
Okay.
Aluta continua.
Welcome, thank you, and we will get to the details of how that went down and, you know, the discussion on what the finance bill is looking like for the young people. Na pia unasema ati the young people haven't read, and you're a journalist. It's time for us to educate them.
Yes.
That tumesoma.
We have read the
Yes.
finance bill.
Mhm.
We have interpreted the finance bill in our mother tongues. The young people are not ignorant. Tumesoma, we are informed, and this is the time when you cannot keep lying to us anymore. We can see through the lies.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Philip, let's have you there on the mic and reintroduce you to our people before we can get into the finance bill.
Okay, thank you. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Yes.
The last time we were here, we were talking about these issues before the finance bill went back to Parliament. A few things we talked about actually happened. We talked about this being aggressive. It is turning aggressive. It was not meant to go this way. But I want to give credit to the government for turning it aggressive, because if on that Tuesday, on the first Tuesday, the youth had gone to the street and they were given protection and they were heard, and the members of parliament voted, then we would not have gotten here. But the government has continued stirring the pot. So it is the government's fault that we're in this place today. We are now past the finance bill, by the way. Right now, things have moved beyond the finance bill. Whether that finance bill is rejected or not, trust me, things will keep moving. Things have changed. The abductions that we have seen in the last couple of days, now we have more than 5 people in police custody. And the police are denying that they have taken these people. That is the most unfortunate bit, that your own government can abduct you and then deny that they have you in custody. So government is continuing to aggravate the people. And this is not, it's no longer a Gen Z affair. Yes. It was first dismissed as, the Gen Zs have gone to the streets, these, opulent people, the case of Uber, KFC, it was a dismissive tone. We saw them soften a little, but then the arrogance still continues. That arrogance is what fuels revolutions across societies. Yes. And it is time government does something. Yes.
All right. Let's get to hear then of what that process looks like. As you said, things have changed already. Whether or not it's rejected, we are now in a new phase, and we need to think about where we are heading to. Yes. And the people who are taking us in that direction are the young people from Gen Z, millennials, Gen X. Even the parents are also joining arms. From the videos we've seen, from the statements we've seen online, the parents are also concerned that the young people indeed are putting their voice to use and they need protection. So let's get to hear from Wilson on how the happenings were like on the streets. First, we are on something which is here being termed as 7 days of rage and courage. 7 days of rage and courage, which started last week on Friday from the pubs and clubs. No space is spared. Let's begin from there. Why is it important that no space is spared, and how is this part of that movement towards rejecting the finance bill?
Kenyan youth have been quiet for a long time, especially on matters concerning politics, and they have thought that we have nothing to say. That is why they are saying that we have not read the finance bill. But we have come to a point where we have had enough, and we have said enough is enough. Our voices must be heard. We have concerns concerning the finance bill, and we have to be listened to. We have to be listened to. That is why we are doing this every single day. If we are not on the streets, we are on the streets of the internet. We are on TikTok, we are on Twitter, we are on all these platforms to ensure that our grievances have been listened to. Yes, and we will continue doing it. We are not stopping. All right. They cannot stop us.
Every space, online and offline. Some
yes.
of the government officials are saying that this is being done for likes. Only Gen Z wanapenda clout, wanapenda views, wanapenda nini. Is that the case, or is there an understanding, a deep understanding of the issues which will be as a result of the finance bill passing through to law?
The likes and the views are an added benefit. Our main agenda is the issues that we are raising with the government. So dismissing us that we are after the likes and after the views, that is just not here, neither here nor there. We are there to be listened to. We have a deep understanding of the issues that are affecting us, the digital tax, the unemployment, the unfulfilled promises. The list is endless, and we have to be listened to.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Philip, I remember in our last discussion I had asked you what a third liberation would look like. I didn't think that events would eventually turn out as they have now.
Yeah.
But just to handle that question again, what do you feel now? Is this a third liberation? Can we qualify it?
I feel vindicated that, because we have been observing these things for a while. I personally have been giving commentary on governance issues in this country for a few years now. thankfully, that has been under the radar. Well, if it was pronounced, I would probably not be here now. But we have been observing these things and speaking truth to power when we got an opportunity to do that. We have been influencing the people around us continually around governance issues. We have been challenging the youth to come out. We were challenging the youth to come out and vote, to come out and engage in governance. And what we are seeing today is the youth making up for the apathy in 2022, in 2017. The youth, those who did not have capacity to vote in 2022, are now saying, even though we didn't vote, you can't let us wait up to 2027. Those who had capacity and didn't vote are coming out to say, even though we made a decision not to vote, we still can't wait for 2027 to make things right. So this could actually be that third liberation. And I'm saying could because there are a few things that provide the right environment for liberation to happen. Number one is strategy. And while you have had statements that the youth do not have a leader, this is an unled protest, while it may not have a centralized leadership, this is a very well coordinated movement. It is coordinated online, it is coordinated on Twitter, it is coordinated on TikTok. Platforms that we are now discovering, those who are in government have no idea how to handle, because they do not own these spaces. The government does not own TikTok. If they did, they would have closed it down. The government has no shares in Twitter. If they did, they would have closed it down. No one would be holding spaces on Twitter if the Kenyan government had any ownership in Twitter. So the mandarins in government have no idea how to control a space that they are, they have no ownership in. So it could be our third liberation only if it is managed properly. Now let me just cast a few scenarios for us.
Okay.
I've said we have moved beyond the finance bill. The conversation was the finance bill, but now people are coming out to say we do not want an oppressive budget. We do not want a bloated government, because these are the realities. I have said before that if the finance bill was rejected today, and I've seen on the order paper all the clauses that have been amended will be read in the floor of the House, and members of Parliament will now have an opportunity to vote on each clause, on each amendment to the finance bill. So if they pass the finance bill, of course, that will provide fuel for the protest and the movement. If they reject the finance bill, that means that those who have been saying reject the finance bill will have nothing else to say. And that is the danger of hanging on to one strand, because if they say, if President Ruto calls a press statement today, like he did with the parliamentary group meeting, and says, I have heard you, now we are withdrawing this bill. What then happens to the movement? What then happens to the pleas to have government accountable? It falls. So for me, I would rather we speak, yes, a reject finance bill started on a very good note. It offered the vehicle that then departed the station of giving or keeping government accountable. But we have to add a little more. Because if that finance bill was withdrawn or rejected, what would happen is we have an appropriations bill. Now, on the order paper of the National Assembly today in the afternoon, they will be discussing the appropriations bill. And I had mentioned in the last show we had that the appropriations bill is how government brings the budget estimates into Parliament. Now, those budget estimates are outrageous. If you had time to go through them, and it's just a brief document, I believe what we should be rejecting even more is that appropriations bill. We should be rejecting more the budget, because the budget then informs why we have a finance bill that is seeking to collect, really to squeeze Kenyans even more. So you had asked a question on the third liberation, and I was saying that there have to be, perfect conditions for that liberation. Number one, on strategy. Yes, this is a coordinated movement online, on Twitter, on TikTok, and so on. But the idea that this should continue as an unled movement is not very wise. Some people have said that if you impose leaders now, then you are presenting people who are likely to be compromised. While that is true, it is also true that if it continues unled, then you are likely to suffer what other movements and revolutions have suffered. There are three things that could happen to a movement. Selfishness could kick in. You have a few selfish people, and we've seen a few people come out and say they are leaders. A few people come out and say they want to form parties and so on. Selfishness could kick in. There is something else called esophagy. That is self-cannibalism. It will start eating itself. You'd have infights. There's a time I saw a list had been generated of demands. People came out and said, no, we are not part of these demands. So if you continue in that manner where you have a decentralized coordination, a decentralized leadership, you're bound to have that. Number three, you are bound to have infiltration. And infiltration happens in this sense. And we've had statements from the likes of Cleophas Malala and a few members of parliament saying they will organize a meeting between President Ruto and Gen Zs. This could happen, that they pay 5,000 people, 5,000 youth. There are people, by the way, who, if they're just fed well and given 1,000 shillings, they can sing to any tune. So they get 5,000 people. They have the money to do that. 5,000 people transported from across the country, and then they lump them in Bomas. And they have a 2-day conference. And then they come up with resolutions. There are 5,000 youth. They are youth anyway. They would have met the president. They would have presented their demands. Now, if you have youth who have met the president, 5,000 of them, you have another 5,000 on the streets in Nairobi and elsewhere who are also saying something different. You have already managed to move a category of the population away from the movement. So I want to insist on that bit. If we continue without a centralized coordination, that is bound to happen. But then there is something interesting that government is doing to itself. You see, these abductions, government is creating leaders out of this movement. Unbeknownst to them, you arrest or you abduct people who have an influence online. You are making them leaders, by the way. They may not even have thought about leadership in the first place. But the fact that you are making them, matters, in if I may use the term, you are actually putting them on the forefront. Some people who have been abducted, by the way, are not known to too many people. But now they are known. Now they are known. The 6 people who have been abducted, now they are known to the people. Unfortunately, some of the people who have been abducted have come out and they are silent, and I understand, because the machinery of government can be very brutal. I imagine the kind of psychological torture they may have gone through for them to be silent, because they were very vocal before they were taken off the streets and off from their houses. This is bound to happen. But let me close on that bit, that we need a little more strategy. We need to have, it is good to have demands, demands that are cross-cutting, not just on the finance bill. I've mentioned the budget. I've mentioned the issue of a bloated government. We also need to start talking about corruption, because we are where we are because Uhuru Kenyatta's government was very corrupt and plundered. We are where we are because Ruto's government has been corrupt from the word go. So we need to have those cross-cutting demands. If we hang on to that one thing, then it will be rejected, and then what? Then it falls, and then that liberation is aborted at that stage.
Way early. Way early. Wilson, I just want to actually pluck that question where he finished that and bring it to you. If we hang on to reject finance bill, Or are we hanging on to reject finance bill? You can also let me know of that. And if President William Ruto comes out tomorrow and says, okay, you know what, young people, sawa, nime reject finance bill, kila mtu arudi nyumbani. Is that the end? Or what is the movement all about in a long-term perspective?
Finance bill could be the main conversation that took us to the streets. But when you get to the streets, you also realize that there are other things that the youth are talking about. We are talking about budgeted corruption. We are talking about all these things that we have seen our government promise the youth. They came to us, they sold us hope. They told us when we get there, we will give you jobs. We will make the environment conducive for you to grow and to
do business.
Exactly. But what we are seeing right now is the exact opposite. It's like the same government that told us, gave us hope. This other side, they are finishing us. So finance bill is not the only issue that we have. We have a lot of issues: bad governance, misappropriation of funds, misplaced priorities. We are seeing that the feeding program has been stopped, but we have 600 million set aside to renovate the offices of the deputy president. We've seen people that we did not elect. They are getting money. They are getting a lot of money. And we are also asking for accountability from this government. Last year, we had Finance Bill 2023. Where did the money go? Which projects have you seen that this money was used for?
Yes.
So you cannot come back to us again, ask for more money, ask for more tax, yet we are not seeing what you're doing with our money. And the youth, the Kenyans, we don't have a problem with paying tax. We have a problem with our money and our tax being used for selfish interest, ending up in the pockets of a few people. So even if they came out today and said that we have rejected the finance bill, we still have other issues that we need you to address. We still need you to tell us where our money is going. We still need you to tell us the plans that you have for these young people out here. You gave us hope. You gave us a lot of promises. What are you doing about it? And if you cannot do anything about it, then the best thing to do would be to resign and give us an opportunity to go out and vote for the people who can sort us out.
All right.
Yes.
So it's more issues other than the finance bill of 2024. And what I'm getting there is that, it's a reflection of, you gave us a promise. You raised money last year for affordable housing. You did this promise during the campaign, but now we are not seeing that.
Yes.
But the point at which the finance bill 2024 is introduced is at a time of pain, where this is a pain that I've been going through. Na sasa ni kama unanikumbusha.
Yeah.
Ni kama unanikumbusha.
Times have been hard. We have been going through. If you remember COVID, we've come from COVID. We've had a very difficult time as Kenyans. The cost of living has been going higher and higher and higher. Now in 2024, you're telling us more money, more tax, and we are not seeing where it is going. It does not make sense to us, and we cannot accept that.
So what will the result from government that is acceptable look like? A result that will eventually sort of tuingie online. We say, guys, congrats. Now let's move to part this, part that. What will that look like from the government?
That would look like less taxes, number one. That would look like more opportunities for the young people, a conducive environment. We just want to feel like our government cares for us.
Okay.
Because at this point, we feel like they don't care about us anymore. We elected them, we put them into office, but we feel that they don't care about us anymore. We just, the end result, the thing that would have us go back to our homes and continue with life like we were, is the assurance that this government is going to take care of our needs. And you can tell even when you're in the streets. You can tell if the government is looking after their people. And at this point, they are not. There are so many issues that are being raised, and they are ending up being ignored. We are being dismissed and told that you are young people, you don't know what you're saying, you don't know this, you don't know that. Listen to us. We are educated, we are unemployed, we have a lot of issues. So at the end of the day, we want you to reject the finance bill. We have a list of grievances. Listen to our grievances. Listen to us. and make our lives easier. Less taxes, give us incentives. Right now the government is taxing us digital tax. I can tell you, Richard, I have done communication and media studies. I have a younger sister. She just finished Form 4. She came to my graduation. I graduated 3 years ago, okay? And she has seen what we have been through. She came to we have been through the system, but there are no results. There are no jobs for us, the young people. So even the younger generation is losing hope. You're telling us you're giving us help, you're giving us that, but we've seen our bigger brothers. They've seen me struggle with the education and then come out. And when then we find innovative ways, these young people are innovative. We find innovative ways of earning money online. They're still coming for us. Even that little money that we are finding from the online platforms, because they have refused to give us jobs. In fact, they are freezing employment. They are coming for it. They are coming even for the little that we are being innovative to earn for ourselves. Yes. Yes, and we are tired.
Okay, so in this 7 days of rage and courage, even from last week's protest, there's that hashtag, which is hashtag Occupy Parliament.
Yes.
Later there was hashtag Occupy State House, and then there's hashtag Total Shutdown KE. What is the government's, even listening to the Speaker of Parliament last week, statements from other members of Parliament, these are hallowed grounds. Wanataka kuja kufanya nini hapa? If it's about the finance bill, what is the occupation about? Once the occupation happens, the march is towards Parliament or towards State House. What does that mean, occupying Parliament, occupying State House?
Parliament is a place where laws are made, and it is a place where we put these people, the leaders that we have today. We put them there to go and represent us. The reason we are occupying Parliament and the reason that we are going to occupy State House is because our representatives, the people that we sent to Parliament to represent our needs and our grievances, our agendas, they have failed us terribly. They have failed us. That is why we feel there is a need for us to go to Parliament so that they can see us, so that they can hear us. That is what all this is about. We want to be heard. We want to be seen, because our representatives, the people we sent to the Parliament, they have been corrupted. They have been they are a puppet of the other arm of the government. Yes, the executive. So we are going to occupy Parliament because they have failed us. They have failed to represent the people. That is why we want to occupy Parliament. Occupy State House. We must be seen. Okay. We must be heard.
We must be seen.
Yes.
And we must be heard.
Yes.
Quite a symbolic and huge move there to use Occupy Parliament and Occupy State House. Mr. Philip.
Yeah, well, just picking up from that bit of occupation. You see, just like Martin Luther King Jr., I am a proponent of nonviolence. And nonviolence in this sense, and now just tying it back to our context, we have an opportunity to pile pressure on government to do the right thing. We have an opportunity to utilize the systems available to us, the institutions available to us. My idea, when I first saw Occupy Parliament, and that the objective was to have a sit-in outside Parliament and pile pressure on parliamentarians to reject the finance bill, I felt that was the right thing. I mean, protest, pile pressure on them, they will see the pressure and act. It turns out that parliamentarians are tone deaf, they didn't hear. You see, this is what could happen if Occupy Parliament is really Occupy and, you're getting into Parliament. There are things called protected areas, protected buildings, protected areas in this country. There are things called critical infrastructure in this country. Now, you see what happens with the critical infrastructure asset, say a building, a State House, a railway house, when you move towards it in a violent manner, because if you are getting into Parliament, that is an act of violence in itself, that you have breached
Hallowed
those
protected
perimeters.
grounds.
Well, parliamentarians have made that those grounds no longer hallowed.
Yeah.
Anyway, they have they have defiled those grounds. But this is what could happen. You get in there, and that invites the full force of the police, which by law they are allowed to release on you if you breach.
Breach that territory.
You also occupy State House, as Wilson is saying. You also attract legal consequences. Now, this is something that people need to be aware of. That once you cross a certain limit, you are no longer within the limits of the law. You are now exercising civil disobedience. While I also agree that civil disobedience needs to be exercised at certain points, I personally do not believe that we should get there, because this is what will happen when that happens. That you have breached the gates of parliament, you have breached the gates of whatever office you breach, you attract the force of the law, people will die. That is a reality. It has happened elsewhere before. People will die. A large number, not just 2 people, a large number of people will die when that happens, because the police will open fire. They will have the legal backing to do that. What then will happen is that the people will be enraged more across the country. That will bring out more numbers. So if you have breached parliament, if you have breached whatever office, it will bring out more numbers. And government, as we know it, will crumble. Now, governments that have crumbled on this continent don't take 5 months to build. It takes years. In some countries, it has taken decades. Some countries have never
actually had a functioning
come
government.
back. Yeah. So if we go that direction, and I'm saying this with utmost respect to what we stand for, if we go that direction, it will take us many years to rebuild. Some people are waiting for an excuse to begin a civil war. There are people in some counties who are waiting for an excuse to attack their neighbors. Let us not give them that excuse.
Right.
Let us not give certain individuals an excuse to murder people. So if I was advising anyone who is out on the street, my advice would be this: that we have demonstrated that we have the power. We have demonstrated to the government that we can actually bring out people power. But we can do it in a channeled way. Rivers are called rivers because they have channels. Once a river, or once the waters have moved out of those channels, it is called flooding. And flooding is not a friend. So we have an opportunity here to maintain a channel, so that we are called a movement that then obtains certain and effective results. My advice would be that as we pile pressure on Parliament to reject the finance bill, and we have used so many avenues, the digital avenues, online avenues, we can begin activating the clauses on recalling members of Parliament, because we have the numbers to do that. We can begin signing those petitions to recall members of Parliament. We can pile pressure on Parliament to make sure that the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission is in place. Because you see, if government crumbles today or this week, all systems are down. Then all manner of people will be... Power is sweet, by the way. Power is very sweet. Even for those who are oppressed today, once you get into power, you have to temper yourself so that the sweetness of power doesn't get to your head. So if things crumble today, there are people who will scramble for power. Those who are in power now, those who are not in power, those who have been wishing that they should get into power, will be scrambling for these positions. External forces outside this country will also be very interested in controlling the affairs of this country. So my plea to us is this: that we have demonstrated that we have the power. Let us channel this power to make our institutions work, because if things crumble, we will not even have the luxury of having these discussions we have today. It will be an all-out war. I can tell you for a fact that not the whole country is tired with William Ruto's government.
That's true.
A few of us are tired, by the way, with William Ruto's government. But those who are not tired and those who think that things should not change will also come out, to fight for what they believe in.
Yeah.
So we can channel our frustrations, we can channel our anger, we can channel the collective power that we have built up to address these institutions. I will be very glad, by the way, if, for example, they said they are not rejecting the finance bill. I would be very glad if now we activate those recall clauses
of MPs,
right from and not just for members of parliament, because we know we're concentrating on the national affairs. Governors are looting.
Yeah.
Members of county assembly are busy, feeding off the counties. We need to, rise through those ranks of governance and make sure that government is working for us.
Okay.
But you see, while I'm saying that, I'm also cognizant of the fact that the government is aggravating circumstances. If they continue in the manner that they're continuing, even my advice won't hold water, because people can only take so much.
True, and I was going there because there's concerns that, as you said, if you occupy State House, if you occupy Parliament, at some point now it becomes civil disobedience. Not even the ICC can save you from that point. You're beyond the law, and now it's time for the government to use its full force on you. But then some Kenyans, as you said, who are aggrieved against the government, say, we are dying anyway. My civil obedience has brought me nothing. My civil obedience has brought abductions, arrests, and therefore, if it's civil disobedience that will maybe, as you said, if the government lets out its whole power on people at State House or at Parliament, this will fuel the movement all across the country. Now more people will come out, and I'm sure there are a few of those protesters who are like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go out there and die for it anyway. So let's go and occupy State House. If then occupying these places will lead to those kind of scenarios where even next week we won't have this show here, because that will be a crumble of government. There'll be a lot happening. Probably someone else will do a coup or take power, or the government will institute state of emergency. Where then should the protesters occupy? What will be the point of going to the streets without a destination? What is a good destination to go and occupy?
Well, you see, the destination can both be physical and ideological. Physical location meaning that you want to enter Parliament or you want to enter State House. That is a physical location. There is also an ideological destination. And that ideological destination will be that you have piled pressure so much that systems are changing. If you can imagine that just from the protests on Tuesday and Thursday, some members of parliament changed their minds because they were afraid of what they were going to meet when they went back out of parliament. That vote would not have gone the way it went. It would have been very different. Maybe just around 80 members of parliament would have voted no. But some people changed their minds because of that pressure. And I am talking about that ideological destination because I know that if, for example, 1 million voters in constituencies here in Nairobi decided that they are going to recall a member of parliament, it could actually happen. I know for a fact that is occupation. I know for a fact that if we continued with this pressure and pressured Parliament to reconstitute the IEBC, that could happen within 2 months. I know that is possible. I also know for a fact that if we piled pressure both on Parliament, and I insist on Parliament because even if you had a mad president, if you had a sane parliament, they would keep that mad president in check. So for me, we need to have that ideological destination. There are consequences for that physical destination. But again, speaking to government, we have been used to this statement. When things have boiled over, you will see people coming out to say, this country is bigger than all of us. There is no one who is bigger than the country, and so on. This country belongs to all of us. A point will come when those statements will not make any sense. Because when people say that, most of the people who have said that, the corrupt people, after they have eaten to their fill, they come
That's
out
why
and
they
say,
feel like
this
we're all
country is bigger
than-
than all of us. But there will be a time when those statements will not ring true to anyone, because at that time people will be too angry to listen to sense. At least now, by the way, we can have discussions. At least now, the frustrations and the anger, I have been on some Twitter spaces in the last couple of days, and some members of parliament were, insulted left, right, and center. That was good, because it is good when you have a certain level of anger that you can control. When that anger is uncontrollable, it is dangerous. So it is good that people have vented out in these spaces. Right now, they have anger that you can work with. My plea to government is this, and we have been saying this for a very long time. Unfortunately, we have people who just don't care. So long as they have eaten, that is enough for them. I don't even want to speak to the president. The president has demonstrated that he does not want to listen. I want to speak to members of parliament, to senators, people who are close to the president. Because if things go south, the president can go where he wants to go. The people, you see, for those 300 members of parliament, they won't run away. You won't take, your property with you if things go south. You won't take your families with you. This is to them, especially. You have an opportunity to make things right. It is never too late to do the right thing, unless you're dead, of course. But it is never too late to do the right thing. This is my plea to members of parliament, even as I plead with the rest of us to channel our anger and our power in the right direction. I'm also cognizant of the fact that we are working with a government that does not listen. My plea to those members of parliament, senators, people who are close to the president, you have an opportunity now. If things go on the way they are going, because parliament is likely to, the National Assembly is likely to vote on those amendments and clauses today. If they, of course, pass the bill, things will move very fast downhill from there.
Slippery slope.
Yes.
All right, Willie, I have a very important question for you as someone who's actually been on the street in the Occupy Parliament, Occupy State House move, knowing or now being cognizant of the extent to which the government can go to quell civil disobedience. Is that something that you're psychologically prepared, knowing, going out there, anything can happen. Abductions are happening, arrests are happening, people are being shot. Today, there's going to be victims from the street, whether they are shot dead or shot with canisters and admitted at hospital. That's definitely going to happen. And it could be you, it could be me, it could be someone else who's on the street. Is this something that you are psychologically prepared for? And that's just one part of the question. As you tackle that, I'd like to hear, as Mr. Philip is saying, that, there's also ideological occupation. There is recalling of MPs. If eventually that is the case, is this something that young protesters are ready for?
Yes, about the first question, we are psychologically prepared. If you go out to the streets and like you said, some of us, most of us, the young people, we have nothing. We have nothing to lose. We have lost all the hope that we had. We have lost jobs. We have lost our sources of income. We feel like we are at a point that there's nothing to lose. So we are ready. Kenyans, the young people, they are ready to pay the ultimate price. But on the other hand, we still believe that it's not the ideal route to follow. Even though we are ready, it's not the ideal thing to do.
But these are not ideal times anyway.
They call for yes. If it gets there, it gets there. But we would rather have we would rather take the occupy the ideological parliament. We would rather recall our MPs, because these young people, we are the future of this country. So we don't want our young people to go out there and lose their lives and get hurt. We want the young people to also consider these other ways that we can find solutions without necessarily having to get to the point where we have to be violent. So we believe that we can recall our MPs. We have the numbers. We are the majority. In 2027, we are going to vote. We are going to come out and vote. You also mentioned something about the abductions and the arrest. And we are living. We are. It is. You don't know what is going to happen to you when you step out of your doors and you walk out to the streets. You don't know what the police are going to do to you. And we first of all want to condemn the use of excessive force against the young people. We have been tear gassed. I was there. We have been lifted to wamechukua. They have done everything to us. Water cannons, you've seen them. They are using too much force, and we are peaceful. You have heard the young people chanting in the streets. We are peaceful. We are peaceful. These are peaceful demonstrations. So stop abducting us. Stop killing us. Stop arresting us. It is uncalled for. And that is not going to stop us. The fear that you're trying to sell us, it is not going to stop us. After this show, Richard, we will be on the streets. I'm going there. We will be on the streets.
The clouds are gathering.
The crowds are gathering, and the fear is gone. The fear is gone. Okay. We will be there.
Here's a question. Apart from, of course, what is happening now and the voting process that will eventually happen, I'm being informed when you said the youth are the future of this nation. My producer says the future is now. So the youth are the now of this nation, right?
Yes.
Are you ready to also occupy these same seats? Because part of the change is you bringing the change, is you being the change. Is this a thing that young people are ready for? The complaint has been, tunasema hivi, ikifika wakati wa ballot, there's no young people there. It's just the old same pool of faces, politicians that we pick from. Are the young people ready to come? Are you, Wilson, ready to come out and say, okay, you know what, my member of parliament, hawezi kazi, therefore, as part of it, young people vote for Wilson?
I, Wilson David Gitonga, as a youth of the Republic of Kenya, I am ready to take up leadership positions because they have failed us. So many young people, you have seen their leadership capabilities. The young people are capable of leading. They have shown us that they can take up leadership positions, and we have had enough. We have had enough of the same faces over and over again, the same promises over and over again. It is the time for us, the young people. When we recall those MPs, when we recall them, we are replacing them with Gen Z MPs. We are replacing with all these people that have been in these offices. We are replacing them with the young people. It is our time. The future is now. This is the time.
All right.
Yes.
Well, just picking up from there, I have talked about what could happen. That is a balanced observation. Now, every society has mad people. We must also be careful. Even among the young people, you have a number of mad people, and mad not in the sense that they are insane, but there are people with questionable characters. I have seen in this protest and in this movement people who are corrupt, the corrupt people from Uhuru Kenyatta's government and governments before, now coming out to side with the youth. I have seen certain members of Uhuru's cabinet coming out to condemn William Ruto's government. We should be careful that these people don't slip through the cracks, because there are people who are known to be corrupt. The fact that they are not now on the feeding table does not mean that they are good people. Even amongst young people, and this is care we must take, even amongst young people, you have certain mad people. You have certain people with questionable characters. While we are all rejecting the finance bill, while we are all rejecting Ruto's bad governance, we must make sure that we are not letting such people, slip through the cracks. We have young people, by the way, in parliament, drug dealers, young people who money launderers, wash guys, in William Ruto's government, some members of parliament, some members of county assembly across the counties, young people, by the way.
Some in the office of the prime cabinet secretary.
Exactly. So these people are everywhere. When I was talking about infiltration, these are some of the things that happen. And unfortunately for us and for most societies in the African continent, such people have the influence of money. And so they are likely to rise organically, almost organically, to the top of the table because they have money. They will influence so and so. They will pay for this, pay for that, and if we are not careful, we will be replacing the older evil with a fresher, more energetic, younger evil. And that will take us even more time to replace. True. So the caution we must take is that, the standard we are holding William Ruto's government to, I was in some space the other day, and as soon as a politician will log in and request to speak, kianza kusema, sijui I'm so and so, and anaambiwa disappear, get out of here. That same standard we have used to judge the William Ruto's government, to judge the theft in William Ruto's government, to judge, these questionable characters. That is the same standard we should use on ourselves. We should use that same lens to look inward, because it is possible to go through all these things, whether we go that non-violent route, whether we go that crumbling route. It is possible for people to slip in. And there are so many examples across the continent. As regards young people taking office, that is something that should be done. I mentioned in the last show that all these African countries today, their respective independence was birthed by people who were less than 30. Yes. Across board, people who are 25, people who are even 21, were coming out, and they liberated, the continent. I have a very specific example of some young people, and they were not even in their 20s, high school students in South Africa. We know about the Sharperville massacre. Yes. It was high school students who came out, demonstrating about a policy, an education policy that had been passed that was affecting primary school education. High school students turned the attention of the world to South Africa. So for me, it is not a question of young people. I have seen certain, members of government, including the president, saying, our children have come out and they're speaking to us. That in itself is a dismissive tone. Yes, children. These are not your children. You may have children their age or even older, but when people are now participating in government, they're not your children. They are citizens, equal citizens as you. So I want to tell whether you're 90 or 19. I want to tell these people who feel that the people who are on the streets are somebody's children. They're only somebody's children because they were birthed by them, they are parented by them. But as it regards governance in this country, they are equal citizens. Hakuna mtu mwenye akona status ya citizenship chini kuliko mwingine. These are equal citizens. Right. But we must also, as young people, equip ourselves. We talked about, young people not reading the finance bill. It began that way, by the way. And I was one of the people who was disappointed that most people were going out on the first Tuesday, having not gone through the bill. Yeah. It took me, by the way, 1.5 weeks to go through that bill, because it was not drafted in a manner that is palatable, to the common mwananchi. Thankfully, there are people who, broke it down into pieces that now we are sharing. But we must also equip ourselves. We must make sure that those of us who taking positions, and it must be organic. I've mentioned that government is now creating leaders out of this movement. It is also possible that they could slip in, leaders that they want. Yes. They would abduct people. We think, they want us to think for the movement when they are not. And then release them when they become leaders. So that is also a possibility. But we must equip ourselves, whether we are taking leadership now, and I'm not advocating for us, jumping the State House perimeter. Whether we are taking leadership now, whatever position it is, whether we are taking leadership in 2027, we must be equipped.
Yeah.
We must make sure that we are better than those we want out of office.
All right.
Yeah.
We must be like Wilson Umeskeyo
Yes.
on how we need to be. So what will a successful occupy what will be a successful, this is called the 7 days of rage and courage. What will be the success for young people look like at the very end of it?
At the very end of it, we expect success would look like rejecting the finance bill to begin with, and looking at the grievances, like we mentioned earlier, the grievances that the young people of Kenya and the Kenyans in general, because it's not just the youths who are suffering. The finance bill, the carelessness that the government is handling us with is affecting all the people across all parts of the country, across all age groups.
Yes.
So all this, we look to a day where we can see that we have a government that really listens to us, that really cares about us. We want incentives instead of taxing us, instead of taxing me for this camera that I was carrying in that video. If instead of taxing our ring lights and the phones that we are using to create content, give us incentives. We want make our lives easier. We can tell when the government is trying to make our lives more difficult. We can tell when things they are trying to make our life easier.
Yeah.
So our thing is, we give us a space for us to, a conducive environment for us to grow ourselves, for our businesses to thrive, for the hustler that you spoke to when you are asking for these positions that you have. Give them the conducive environment for their businesses to thrive. Give us the stop overtaxing us. We have had enough of this. Reduce expenditure in government. Misplaced priorities, putting money in your pockets. We are seeing it. We are putting it down. We are noting it down. The things you're doing with our money, we need that to stop. The money that we are getting, you're saying the government is broke. The money that we are getting, let it go to the right places. We have doctors that are complaining. And how do you think they feel when they see you pumping that money into offices of people we did not elect? How do you think our teachers feel when they see you doing all these things that you're doing? So do the right thing. That is what we are calling upon the government to do. That is what we are hoping that this whole movement will, that is the direction that we are taking.
All right.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that both of you have agreed on the point where it's not children, it's not a Gen Z movement.
Yes.
This is citizens of Kenya, and I really hope that you can move away from that, phrasing this as a Gen Z thing. It's like, oh, Gen Z wako street. Everyone is out there, and as long as they are going against the government of the day or presenting their grievances to the government of the day, those are Kenyan citizens. Finally, as we wrap it up, Mr. Philip, there's so many things we could talk about. I just checking here and saw that in 2018, President Uhuru Kenyatta declined to sign the finance bill and returned it to the House with a memorandum after MPs had imposed a 16% VAT on fuel products. In these small steps which are left before President William Ruto puts the pen on that paper, if he eventually does, is there still hope to turn things around? Is there something that can be done so that eventually this bill doesn't even get to the president, or if by the time it gets there, it's dead on arrival?
First, it's disheartening. It's shocking. It's disheartening. It's shocking. It's annoying that William Ruto has succeeded in making Uhuru Kenyatta look like a saint. Uhuru Kenyatta was not a saint. He looted quite a lot. He and his government looted quite a lot. But when it comes to, in fact, on that finance bill, it was a PR exercise, his time, the 2018 bit. But today, I have held the view that William Ruto had a few days last week to do the right thing. His father, going down the wrong path. But even today, that bill could be withdrawn. because a bill can be withdrawn at any stage. So that bill could be withdrawn, but it looks like they are hell-bent on having it discussed. So the amendments that will be discussed today, at this point, whether they are reasonable or not, because if for me, I've maintained this, that the hole we were dug into, we had to make painful decisions to get out of. But those decisions do not include squeezing the citizen more. Budget cuts are a very simple thing to do, but we are not doing it. Budget cuts are painful, but they don't pinch the populace more than overtaxation does. Yes. But what Parliament could do, Kimani Kuria could withdraw that bill. President William Ruto will come out and say, I have had and I have instructed Treasury to withdraw those proposals. We saw a statement from Treasury saying, if you don't pass this bill, then we will have budget cuts. And they were proposing a raft of budget cuts across very key places in our finance ecosystem. That for me was a threat, not to Parliament, but to the citizens. They were telling the citizens, well, if you don't do this, then you're not going to get power. You're not going to get roads. You can imagine your employees telling you that. It's that bad. So for me, there are things that could be done even now, that they could withdraw that bill, because whether they amend it to one clause that says this is just the finance bill, we went through this, it does not matter to the people now, because the rage has moved from, the call now is reject, not amend. The whole thing. It doesn't matter. People will not even see those amendments. So that is out of question. They have an opportunity if they want, by the way. They could listen to the people if they were very cunning. They could listen to the people and then reintroduce that bill much later. But you have to listen to the people. A government that does not listen to its people is a government that is teetering towards dictatorship. We are not a dictatorship, we are a democracy. So there are things that government ought to do now. The fate of this country lies now in the hands of a few people. They have the power to determine where we head this week. They have the power to determine where we head next week. If they pass that bill with whatever amendments, because they're saying they have to collect that money anyway, then of course that means that the protests will go on beyond tomorrow. If they go on beyond tomorrow, government will clamp down. The president will probably sign or decline to sign, because that is also a card that politically he can play, that they have passed and then it's taken to State House and says, no, I won't sign, I'm sending it back. But even though he will do that, and you see why I was still insisting that we have to go beyond reject the finance bill, because if he says, okay, I've rejected the finance bill, why are you on the streets now? We'll start fumbling. Because there are people who just want that finance bill rejected. It was unfortunate that we began by thinking that the finance bill was the budget. I had, and unfortunately saw, some people who were, very vocal at the time, saying that the finance bill was the budget. That really broke my heart, because the finance bill is not the budget. The budget is the monster that we must be thinking about. Wilson has mentioned 600 million shillings that is going to renovate the Deputy President's house. You have Parliament, taking 80 billion. The Executive Office of the President taking 4 billion. State House as a different allocation of 7 billion. 7 billion for something called State House Affairs. The National Intelligence Service is allocated 46 billion shillings. For 1 year, 46 billion shillings. So these are things that we must interrogate. So in as much as the president has a hand to play, he has a hand to to deal in this coming hours, we must maintain the pressure for good governance. That we must not lose sight of.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Philip. And I would like to get a last remark from Wilson. But for you, it's I want to use today's platform as a cautionary platform for protesters. So I need you to caution, because you said after this show, of course, you'll be out there in the streets of Nairobi CBD. Just what your personal advice is to anyone else who's going out on the streets. Feel free to say anything that you feel like, because you are here in your own capacity rejecting the finance bill, and we want to give you that voice. So words of caution and anything else that regards today's protests.
To the young people of Kenya, to the Gen Zs, and to all Kenyans who are going out to the streets today, number one on our list is to make sure that the protests are peaceful. Let us maintain peace. We have to be listened to. We have to be heard. We have our grievances. That have to be addressed. So as we go to the streets today, and even for those who are staying back at home, keep tweeting, keep retweeting and supporting us on social media platforms, because I think it's time for a revolution in Kenya. Our time is now, and the police, stop killing the young people, stop brutalizing the young people. We have rights to protest peacefully, so allow us to exercise our democratic rights.
Yes.
Stop brutalizing us, stop attacking us. We are the people of Kenya, and we have to be listened to. Power belongs to people, and we will be in the streets of Nairobi and in of all towns and possibly counties in Kenya to speak truth to power, and we cannot be silenced. We are ready. We have nothing to lose. We have reached the elastic limit.
Right.
And so yes, come out in the streets for the 7 days that we are about to, the 7 days that are remaining. We also call upon you not to be cowed. Do not be tusiuziwe uoga. Hatununui uoga sisi. Hatuna pesa. Tumesota. Walikuwa wananiambia ati nikule. Wananiambia ati polisi wananiinua juu kwa sababu sikuli.
Tumeonyesha video yako hapo. That was brutal, bro.
Imagine. You see how they were throwing me. You see, that is the same. Let me tell you, Richard. That is the same recklessness that costed us the Kianjokoma brothers. That is the same recklessness. That is the same carelessness that costed us Rex. That is the same carelessness that we are condemning. Please stop brutalizing us. Stop brutalizing the young people. That carelessness, that is a bit too much. So yes, we are asking the police to come out and protect us, because we are peaceful protesters, and our grievances have to be listened to.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I wish you the best today, and I do pray to see you again next week. Yeah? Not lifted like that, or disappearing.
Yeah.
Is there maybe just one sentence, word of advice to the protesters?
The police, well, we had the statement from CS Kithure Kindiki yesterday. That is a statement that I hope was still also communicated to the police. But in case you encounter cases of police brutality, we have toll-free numbers given by the LSK and given by an organization called the Independent Medical Legal Unit. In case you encounter cases of police brutality, please report. In case you are injured in any way, please make sure that you seek medical attention. That organization called IMLU, Independent Medical Legal Unit, also has toll-free numbers. There are people who have been injured during the last days of protest, either by the water cannons, by tear gas. If you sit on those injuries, they are bound to cause you problems later. So if you have encountered the police in whatever form, whether they have fired at you, whether they have done anything, please make sure that you seek medical attention. I think we'll be sharing those contacts with Richard, so that members of the public can reach out and seek attention as is necessary.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Wilson Gitonga. He is a journalist, activist, and alongside Mr. Philip Mwangale, who's a governance consultant. Guys, we are continuing with this conversation. So I'm just taking a short break to bring in the next set of guests. It's a newspaper review. Grab yourself a copy of the dailies. Angalia headlines inasema nini. I want to prepare you for the day and for the week. Bernard Odhiambo and Dr. George are here on the show. So in a short bit, they'll be joining me. Don't go too far.